Hello, Culture Matters podcast. We're back again. Buckle up and get ready for 30 days of thought. Paul Lucido, Andrew Berman, Lucido Berman. Paul, take it away.
All right, we'll do. So, culture of pride is today's topic. Very interesting one. Very deep subject. If happiness and fear are gone, no ill emotion may harm us. Culture of pride.
Hmm. So, man, I drew this diagram actually. For anyone that's listening to this, they're not on YouTube. Get your life together. Subscribe to Jay Duran YouTube, and you're going to see us all together going through 30 days of thought here on the playlist. But I guess the first question I have is, what the hell was I saying? Andrew, you've read this numerous times over the years. Like, what would you say sticks out to you that it has utility?
Uh, I think it's interesting because I thought I thought I understood what it was, and then I was listening to your YouTube and video, and I was like, wait, I think I'm thinking it's something different. you know um like, to me it was like a warning, like, kind of not to be too prideful, just to be somewhat humble and be actually like a man of the or a person of the people. Just just that's kind of what I thought, and I felt maybe there might have been some conflict with what you were saying, like on the YouTube video, like where it's okay to be prideful, but I don't know. That was my take from it. Like when I first, because I what I do is I now read it, and then I like kind of like come up with my own thinkings and thoughts about it, and then I go back to look at, like, when I went through the book the first time, and I look to see, like, okay, what is that compared to? And I mean, like, a lot of these things have been lockstep, and this is kind of like one of those things. Like, it was basically, um to be careful, don't be too prideful, be, one with the people.
Paul, where have you seen
Yeah,
being where in your career have you seen pride be useful and value creating? And where have you seen it undermine or potentially, you know, um,
sure. Well, I think I'll go for the low-hanging fruit. I think for me, pride has played a role in how I approach the work, let's say, that I do on a personal level. So when we use the term one takes pride in their own work, one takes pride in keeping a tidy home, one takes pride in their hygiene. I look at those as positive aspects. And in the workforce, for me,
hmm.
I try to teach all my team to take pride in your own work. Again, bring your best every day, every moment. That's the whole idea, right? So from that perspective, I've seen it as being a good thing. Where pride could get in the way and could sometimes cause conflict is when your own self pride now gets in the way of your decision making,
Yeah.
your way of maybe being a good listener, hearing other people's perspectives. It creates biasness. It could lead to biasness,
Hmm.
and so for me, that those are, and I'm sure there are other things that will come to mind as I think this through. But for me, on a positive note, I do believe you should take some pride in your work. But when I say that, I mean it's, again, doing your very best, pouring yourself into what you do. I feel like all three of us do that. I know, Andrew, you do that. I do that. Jay is clearly doing that. So I look at that as a positive thing. But when it becomes arrogance, and I think that's where I want to go, and I
Yes.
kind of got that out of your reading. You're reading your this analogy. I think when it becomes, it creates and or fosters arrogance to where now you have all the answers, you think you pretty much got it figured out. It could lead to you not having empathy for other people, and it could lead to you not being understanding or open. So I think,
Mm.
in my humble opinion, that would be for what how I would describe it. And I also
This is
would like
great
to,
direction.
yeah, and I would also like to make one a notation here. This particular chapter, and I was talking to you about this before we started the actual um, call or podcast, and that is, I've never read this particular chapter, Andrew, and I don't know that you did either when we did our version of 30 Days of Thought. So I want you to know I'm coming into this one completely,
I want to throw,
open
here's
minded
a
and
grenade.
no preconceived notions.
I think pride and shame are inextricably linked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, I agree with that.
It sounds yeah, I'm
But
And
it's
that there's a distinction between false pride and pride. That's not, it doesn't mean there isn't value in pride or that's a bad thing, but I think they're inextricably linked. And it's almost like a seesaw. Like, what's the balance between I am proud of what this. Okay, so I did what I said I was going to do. I had a task that I had to do that was in between who I am today and who I could be, that has a relationship with what I've accomplished and what I desire to. It's like there's we have a okay, I have a goal. Here's the goal. Or we're a team. Here's our goal. Everyone on the team, there's going to be sacrifice because there's going to be tasks and objectives, like little mini goals and little and tinier sacrifices as it relates to like time and space in between that bigger goal. And I have to
so
I have to accomplish those tasks. I have to what? I have to do them. And to do them, that means I'm not doing other things. There's a character test there. There's discipline. There's like the virtues are revealed in that navigation. If I don't do what I say I'm going to do, I'll feel ashamed, even if I'm unwilling to admit it. Someone that doesn't do what they say they're going to do for a long period of time, let's say that they're in position of authority, like the highest position of authority. Who's holding them accountable? No one. Only their conscience.
Mhm.
Only their conscience. And now the conscience will lead. So, like, maybe one time they did do what they said they were going to do. They were as good as they thought they were. They are no longer, but I am in that position of authority. And who's holding me to account? No one. Only my conscience. And so there's an insecurity in that. There's a shame in that. And that's where I think that this it breaks off, the pride breaks into false pride.
Yeah.
Like the tyrant has a false pride because the tyrant isn't sacrificing in equal proportion of the people. You hear these terms, servant leader. Berman, you called out servant leader, that servant leader book and all that. The servant leader. Why is that an important idea? Because everybody the emperor has no clothes.
You beat me to
Okay,
the
so like
punch. Yeah,
this is what this excerpt's about.
yeah.
I'm going through my own autobiographical projection here. Why did my partnership break up? You know, how did I fail as a mentee? What did I resent of my mentor? I'm on this hero's journey, this liar lid journey. There's this concept that I came up with. It's like a thought picture. The liar lid journey. It's the dichotomy between mentor and mentee and the conflict, the conflict of, the mentor. When the student is ready, the master will appear, But what if the student's not ready? What master is going to appear? The deceiver,
Mm.
the manipulator, the user, the puppet master, the Pinocchio's island with the jackasses.
Yeah, great
I'm signing
metaphor
up
too.
right for that. I'm on Jackass Island. I'm a jackass. And then and
What's
then
the what
and
was
then
that
what
old saying? Give a boy enough rain, and he'll soon make a jackass out of himself. That's from Pinocchio.
there you go.
That's what the coachman says. Give a boy enough rain, and he'll soon make a jackass out of himself. That's you know, I there's something Well, I would like to hear from Andrew because I saw Andrew react, and I know he had something to say.
Yeah, so I mean, so pride is like false confidence, like filled with shame. Like it's like, because if you're confident about something, you're willing to have others maybe look at it, and maybe your peers analyze it to make sure that you are doing the right thing, making the right decision, have the right plan in place. Pride, because you're filled with maybe some shame that you don't have that confidence, but you know something, you've been right many times before, so you're just gonna muscle through this and just have the pride to kind of make it like a false confidence, leaving you vulnerable, because you're not open to ridicule, or I shouldn't say ridicule, guidance from those who maybe you're guiding.
But Andrew, let me ask you this, guys, because I think we need to identify pride. And pride is that human emotion. It's like a secondary emotion characteristic, right? That for the most part, kind of creates a sense of satisfaction of a person's identity, our own identity. So when we take pride in something, it actually brings us pleasure. It brings us a level of satisfaction. So I don't know that pride is necessarily a negative thing. I think that what we're talking about here is a false sense of
Yes,
pride.
yes, yes.
And that to me is where I think what I'm
Or
hearing
how to
you,
balance, how
we're
to
out of
balance.
balance where your pride is now clouding your better judgment. You have gotten to a level where pride is turned into arrogance. When you asked me earlier what I thought about pride, Paul, how does pride play in? We teach our kids take pride in what you do, but we don't mean it in the sense of to be arrogant. We mean just
What
we
That's
use it
important
in
what
a
you just
way
said.
as a sort of a catalyst to say, hey, have some dignity. I mean, look what's going on social media. There's a lot of stuff that comes into the feed. People have just lost sight of their dignity.
Paul, you're bringing up a very important. You just said
Okay.
be proud of what you do.
Yeah, that's
But we
different.
live in a world where we could talk about this stuff every week and we could go back to our lives and do none of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But we could get the fans of this show, the idolaters, perceiving us, because implicit in our words around these topics would be the recognition, the trust that we do these things. Like, oh, we
Right.
have this figured out. Like this, you see what I'm saying? Like wrapped up, if someone's listening to this, implicit in their personal decision to listen, no, someone's not going to listen to anyone on the internet for a period of time unless they have some reason to study for, like why would somebody that's open to learn listen to a deceiver?
Yeah.
Meaning, so implicit in people listening to anyone on the internet would be, oh, I think this person is who they think they are. Meaning, because you said pride in what one does. What about pride in what one doesn't do? Meaning, I am, I believe I'm doing what I'm talking about, but I'm not doing it. But I believe I'm doing it.
Well, bel
And
yeah. Hmm.
meaning, and
Believing.
the social platforms actually, I think, they incentivize false pride, not pride. So that's why I want to hone in on that, be proud. Because you said, uh, it isn't get rid of pride. It's wait. What is it? Which one is it here? Are we talking about?
That's right.
Because we live in a world today where we don't have to do to get the fruit. And this would be an example of that. By posturing ourselves through the internet, we can be rewarded by the attention and the loyalty of the crowd, having not accomplished anything,
I
having not built anything, having
I
not
would like.
necessarily lived in anything. Oh, here, Andrew.
So yeah, if I don't mind, I'm gonna share
Please.
something here. This is so basically, if I don't know if you guys have ever heard this David Hawkins wrote this book, the I think it's like Letting Go or something like that. But basically, he talks about these lower level energies. So what basically and anyone who's
Are you sharing? Because I can't see.
I am sharing,
Let me
yes.
stop my share then. Maybe I could see yours if.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
if
I'm watching.
if anyone's listening to the podcast, just just Google levels of consciousness, and you'll see this diagram. But basically, like these are like the pride is like a lower level, in energy. And like the idea is to kind of go from the lower rungs, from the victim abuser, just kind of the bullied, to the self-realization. Like this is like what a lot of people, myself, try to achieve in life, to have the full consciousness. Um, and like pride is better than anger, it's better than desire. But then you get actually courage. But like this is there's different levels. So pride is kind of like one of those early levels. And I think pride in something leaves us vulnerable, to not seeing our flaws. So
That's
what? Yeah. So
Well, but
whether
that,
it's
yeah, no, go ahead.
whether it's false pride or not false pride. I mean, like false pride is probably more down here on the shame scale. Shame is at the bottom of the scale.
mhm.
So just to kind of give everyone who's not listening or not watching, it's shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, neutrality. Then it keeps going up, and I'm not going to keep
But
going
I
here.
want to challenge David. Actually, Paul, you've been really wanting. Where are you going?
Sorry.
Okay, no, I two things. So I want to address, and I'm looking at it too, Andrew. I have it pulled up. Pride is falling under the victim abuser consciousness. Then you lead into self empowerment, which starts with essentially just courage is right there, just between the victim abuser consciousness and then going into self empowerment. You know what I don't see in the scale? I don't see humility. And that's something I don't see in the scale even mentioned, other than the new humanity consciousness, which gets up into the level of what he calls paradise. I'm going to go, I'm going to say, it's funny. So, two
Maybe
things.
maybe that's because it was an act of arrogance making this.
Say that again.
Maybe it was an act of arrogance, even creating something like this. It's
I mean,
meaning like maybe that's because you take somebody with a very high intelligence, and before you know it, we have communism, which has killed 100 million people. Meaning it's a very, very well thought through and well thought out,
yeah,
some genius work. Only smart people, truly, it's the smartest people in the world and the most idiotic that really participate in communism. It's the smartest and the most idiotic. Everyone in the
Yeah.
middle, kind of like average, somewhat intelligent or educated rather, they wouldn't participate in that. They're too tuned into the realities of life. So I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like maybe it's not there because there's a it's like Hegel. Read Hegel for 20 minutes and you realize this guy was so smart, he had it all figured out.
well, boy, I'm telling you, we're opening up
We're
such
just
a
exploring.
portal here of thought. Okay, earlier, well, first of all, Andrew, I really think this is cool that you brought
Yes.
this to our attention. And I've seen this diagram before, this funnel, this sort of, we'll call it upside down pyramid in this case. So clearly, the 12th dimension is where you want to get. That even takes you, that's even beyond enlightenment. Where I wanted to go, and I'm going to probably lose my train of thought here, we talked about a couple things. So we're talking about defining pride, and clearly there is a definition for pride that just a straight out, this is what pride means by definition. But then it's how you exercise your pride, it's how you use your pride, it's how you lose sight of your own pride when your own pride starts to cloud your better judgment, or create perceptions that maybe are not really true. There's another thing I wanted to bring into this conversation, and I don't know if there's a place for it, but you might want to look up and read about Machiavellian thinking. And I was listening to some of this, and I immediately started to think about people in my life that I've come across. We we all are trying in our situation, and I'll get back to the Machiavellian thing. What I wanted to really say was we are just having a conversation here. We are
Mm.
not trying to sell anything. We are not trying to say we've got the answers. We are just simply having a discussion and trying to find out trying to find the truth. Is there some truth to this? What is that truth? What do you think? What are your opinions of this? So I think if someone was to tune in on the internet and listen to what we're talking about, some people might say they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Other
You
people
would be
might
correct.
say, you know what? I think they're onto something, and it's interesting. I could relate to it because they're not trying to pitch through arrogance, through an overabundance of pride, through knowledge that they've got the answer. What we're just simply doing is saying, hey, look, we're exploring. We're doing some discovery here. We're trying to figure it out. So I think any rational person would get that. If you and I were doing a quick infomercial, or we're trying to do a soundbite and we're trying to put something out that's very compelling and powerful, we're going to do it with a lot of conviction. And now that goes back to, boy, all the stuff you hear on the internet. Do this, don't do that. If you're doing this, you're doing it wrong. And I'm going to go, well, who the hell are you to tell me I'm doing it wrong? What are you doing? And maybe they jump off camera and then they go do something completely different. Now that's back to, Action speaks louder than words. They're just giving lip service, but their actions are saying something different. But the only thing we know of these people is what we see that's put before us. So what I sort of, in a humble way, would have to say is what we're doing is not about saying it's this way or that way. It's more of, hey, what do you think? And I was doing that in my own homework on Machiavellian, that whole sort of mentality. And if you listen to it and pick up tidbits of it, you start to realize just how dangerous it is and how dangerous people could be. And then you start to question who in your life is actually trying to manipulate you versus who's being truthfully honest, who's strategically making the right comments at the right moments just to control the narrative to their benefit, not to your benefit. And those are the kinds of
You bring
things
up an
that,
important point. This is
and
very
there's a
important.
lot of shit like that going on the internet as
Well,
one.
not just on the internet. Well,
In the
yes, yes,
workplace,
it's
in
the
the
internet's
workplace.
exacerbating it, that tendency in our human nature. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring up something that I think is such a helpful thought. When you said, "Who the hell are you?" I thought immediately of Charlie Munger. There's a book, Richer, Wiser, Happier, by William Green. Such a great writer. I hope to have him on someday. And it's biographies on these various amazing investors. And one of the one of the stories was Bill something or another, some famous investor went up to Charlie Munger and said, "Hey, Charlie, it's Bill." Like, and like he knew Charlie very well, and they had known each other. Bill Miller, yeah, Bill Miller. And Charlie's immediate response is, "Who the hell are you?" Like, I'm pretty sure. And then he's like, "No, no, it's Bill." Oh, oh, oh. And then he told his wife, like, "Here, I'm gonna go walk with Bill." And they walked for 90 minutes and caught up and stuff. Who the hell are you? Okay, so 2000, 500 years ago, we didn't just have a castle, we had a moat. In those movies, like somebody on a horse is like a vagabond is going by the camp from the wilderness and they're knocking on the door. They have a cloak, it's raining. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, number one. The guy opens the door and all the Nazgul, or no, that's the bird. The nine, they're on horseback and these are dead kings and they came back to life because of Sauron, and they just like run over the gate and crush the guy that was going to look and open the gate. They just ran right over it and he's dead. Who the hell are you? Like, strangers are dangerous. Snakes are dangerous. Anomalies dangerous. We pride is a function of survival. It's a function. Who the hell are you? What
Well,
what is your agenda? What are you bringing to the table? Are you taking food off of our children's plate? Are you
right.
are you are you capable of hunting? Are you capable of gathering? Are you willing to be a part of the community? Like, there's a I thought of protection. I thought of, like, you know, it's a commune until and it's an Epicurean feast of sensuality until you sleep with someone's mate and then you're dead and now there's war. You know,
Wow.
like, so anyway, what do you and we have a couple minutes left. This is a fun one.
So the interesting
Very
thing I
proud of
wanted
this episode.
to say that again.
Yeah, as Churchill would say, don't interrupt me while I'm interrupting you.
Well, one thing, the comment, who the hell are you? Also, the person saying that, that's where their own pride could get in their own way too, because that might be pride stepping in, feeling threatened, and therefore it's just blind pride coming out. My father kind of was that way. My dad was a smart guy, he was, but his pride usually came into play to protect the yard. Remember in another episode I talked about protecting the yard. You take care of your yard, I will take care of my yard. When there's nothing else left, when you don't have much, let's say you don't have much to bring to the table, you can't debate it with words. You can't, you have no other, you have nothing left. Then it resorts to things like where pride just kind of comes in, right? It just takes over. And you start to challenge people. You could be, who the hell are you? And you could say, well, I'm a teacher. I'm trying to, impart some wisdom to you, but your own effing pride won't let me get through to you, you stubborn ox. So the reality of it is that that's the kind of pride. That's the negative pride. That's the pride we were talking about earlier. What about what's negative? Negative is when you're so prideful, you won't let anything in. You're not open to opinions. You're not open to what people have to say. You're not interested in new information. So, man, we could take this in many different directions, but that's that. I just wanted to bring some clarity to the point I was making earlier on, and the reason why I use the "who the hell are you" is sometimes ignorant people, and forgive me, now I'm going to get chastised for it, but sometimes we say those things out of ignorance.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, a well-informed person will carefully choose their words, right? So, and when they react to something, but again, pride is an emotion. Remember, it's a secondary emotion. So sometimes it's hard to control it too. Anyway,
Well, then it becomes a conversation too of identity. We
It's
we go ahead, Andrew. Yeah.
it's not fact based.
mm-hmm.
Like you're not basing it on fact. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's your own feelings, which are your perception of things that happen. So pride, well, okay, maybe some pride is better than other pride, but it's causing blind spots. No matter what, it's going to cause blind spots based on your own perception of things, your own experiences, your own feelings about your mother breastfed you too much or didn't breastfeed you, whatever it is. Those are your experiences.
I thought you had something there, Andrew, that very profound until you brought in breastfeeding, and then you lost me.
I'm always trying to drop in breasts. It's I don't want people to think actually that I have anything else on my mind besides my wife's boobs. But
But
It's a component. It's interesting if you could bring back that triangle though, actually. Can you bring back that diagram?
yeah, sure.
And it's funny because I've came to that same conclusion. But like the upside down triangle, there's something there to be thought about and thought through. At the same token, um, what's interesting about that diagram is I would if you actually turn that, see the first like I know there's three. See the first three triangles, how it's like there's a line under above shame and under guilt, and then
mm-hmm.
there's a line above grief and at fear,
Okay.
Yes.
and then the third line is courage.
Yep.
If we were to take just that triangle and turn it upside down, it's Maslow's hierarchy. Um, like I think that's Maslow's that he took
Mm.
because we start if we look at Maslow's, we're starting the base needs like food, shelter, water. much of
Yes.
much of life is the instinctual and social, like the instinctual movement and social navigation of shelter, water, food, and how that relates to one's pride. Group of lions, the family. I am proud, my family is an extension of my self identity, my self esteem has a relationship with how I navigate the unknown and gather resources and disperse resources for my family, for my my parents, my kin, my children. It's my pride. That part of like this whole there's a lot of lions in this book because I don't know, but the culture of pride, the
Right.
what's the one with free will with the lion in the cage, and
Hmm.
it's like we're and so just that um I think where Peterson's work takes this triangle, this Dawkins, because they're in the same industry, and really goes not yeah, let's say deeper, right? They're complementary. Is this conversation around the individual is the intermediary between the unknown and the known, and it's how we navigate pride. And Paul brought this up earlier about humility, the pride to know when to protect, and the humility to be able to hear and see, the humility to be able to have vision. So one of the stories, have vision, and the temperance, and the responsibility to sacrifice for the herd, for one's pride, for one's family, for one's community. So rule 4 in Beyond Order, notice that opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abdicated.
Mm. Good. Yeah, that's it. That. Hmm.
When Osiris, the pharaoh Osiris, stops paying attention, he's the pharaoh. When he stops paying attention, our attention's a consequence of our aim. So we have a goal. A goal calls forth sacrifice, calls forth work, calls forth getting rid of my impulses right now for my future. I have to do that every day with my marriage. Get rid of my impulses today for future Jay's benefit.
Right.
Okay. The leader of the group, the CEO, the who like at the top, has to sacrifice their present self for their future self for the present sanctuary of their people. Osiris stopped doing that. He stopped paying attention, and he was killed by his brother Seth, who represented malevolence, short-term orientation, wanting the fruit without the effort,
Hmm.
the Machiavellian.
There you go, buddy. You just went right where I was going to go. Yep.
Horus, Horus was the hero in that story, and he was the son of Osiris, that Osiris's wife, representing the creation, creativity, imagination, possibility, had relations with Osiris's corpse and bore an orphan hero that willingly fought Seth, that could see, he could see, Horus could see. And he lost his eye, one of his eyes in the battle, and he destroyed his father and brought him back from the underworld. So, ultimately where I'm going with this is I, the balance of pride and humility, the recognition of identity, and the willingness, as Andrew was alluding with this graph, to be able to move through that and not be stuck or rooted or closed off from possibility. Like and so I guess like the formula of how to do it is somewhat of where Peterson's going with his work with like maps and we who struggle with God, in my estimation, is that have an aim, have a goal, have one, vocalize it, get to work ultimately,
Hmm.
and you're going to be paying attention. You're not going to be your pride will be tempered by your sacrifice. You're the servant leader.
Interesting. I'll tell you, I wasn't sure how this conversation was going to transpire, where we were going to go with it, even based on the initial excerpt. I like where we're delving into. Um, Again, you know, I love what Andrew said too. Andrew said something, being blinded, it creates blind spots. It does. And I also want to, and I'm talking about the pride aspect, but you were also circling back on humility. I guess the thing with humility is, and I'm not going to bother to look up the definition of it. I think most of us know what it means to exercise forms of humility. I don't know if acquiescing is a word that we could bring into it, but knowing when to acquiesce, knowing when to and see the challenge with humility is humility weakness? No, I think humility is strength. I think humility is strength. And when I got into the comment of the, what is it? Is it Nicolio?
Yeah, Machiavelli, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I learned about that philosophy was he just recognized how people actually think and how they behave. So it wasn't like this is the strategy you use. This is just typically how many people will behave naturally when push comes to shove, to protect themselves, to advance themselves, at the cost of others. So
But the ultimate leader's engagement influences that.
it sure does. You could have a leader that is that way. Okay, so there's an old, that saying,
Oh,
don't
100%.
mistake kindness for weakness. If you go by the Machiavellian thinking, kindness gets you nowhere. And I don't know that I completely buy into that, because I think we try to, you've heard me say it. Simple pleasantries go a long way. Be kind to people. The problem is you can still be kind to people, but you need to be wary at the same time when you're being taken advantage of. And that could come, your own pride could create blind spots to where you don't see it. That's back to Andrew's point. You see how I'm trying to tie it together?
Yes.
Yeah, it all ties together. And so I guess
And we
through
can't confuse kindness with cowardice.
yes, sir, exactly.
But
It's tricky.
But truth comes with consequences. You'll be pulled through the brambly bush.
That's very thorny, isn't it?
Speaking up at a company means retribution if the company is corrupt, and you won't get rewarded till your next job.
Right.
So when you
Speaking
speak of
up in to a client means you could lose the client. And that's the difference between a professional and an amateur,
not speaking up
or a
means
fraud and a,
yeah,
you know,
not speaking up
sycophant.
means you could lose the client in the long term. You
Not
know,
speaking up means you lose your soul in the long term too.
yeah, yeah. So humility, I feel like actually, if we were trying to find a place actually on here, is awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness, actually, like these are,
Yeah, that's good.
that's I feel like that's just to find a place where that matches up. And awareness is aware of actually, that we're not perfect, we have flaws, that we actually, what we think is amazing and great, because we might have pride around, might need some others input or feedback.
But awareness and pride get confused all the time because my awareness is greater than your awareness, you bitch.
No, but my awareness is definitely the best. There's no question about it.
You
I
see what
am,
I mean?
yeah. So my awareness is actually at 1200. They don't even have it on here.
Yeah, like I'm the same. Yeah, I guess what do you think our listeners today need to do? Maybe feel really guilty,
Subscribe
go
to us
sit in
on
the
the subscribe on the YouTube channel, because
yeah.
this would be a lot easier if you're just listening. That's number one.
If you know if I think this is my last 2 cents. If you're not feeling shameful or guilty about anything ever, then all this self-help shit has become an ideology
Hmm.
and can potentially make a balanced, you know, banal everyday person lose the spirit of their identity and be careful, be weary, or be careful because the pursuit of perfection, I think, in and itself is partially what's destructive. Like it's called a blind spot for a reason. Like I'm blind to it. That's part of the value of having a spouse, or part of my children being smarter than me, quite literally, because they're born after me. Or I have to be more humble with my parents because I was born after them, and like they teach me how to listen because I don't want to listen to them. So I'm forced to. And so like these feedback loops, um, 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 like what I'm saying is be a like fear, all those low emotions are a part of our neurophysiology, and a part and if we're navigating the world, we're going to feel them. We're going to be faced with them. It's how we navigate them that'll reveal our degree of education and character and so on. Um, but the avoidance of them in itself, I think, is therein lies the danger and the attraction to ideology, like whatever that's represented as. Um, because think about it. I in this pursuit of success of being better, more successful, being more competent, I'm gonna hit like I didn't want to get up this morning. I was very tired, and I was held to account by the meeting I had at 6 a.m. Like I don't want to be late on this person. And had I not had that meeting, I would have slept later.
Mhm.
And so I would feel guilty, like right, had I not done it, and then embarrassed, and let's say I didn't do it because um, I could get away with that. I had enough, goodwill, or let's say I was, you know, um, there's no like resource, immediately I
Well,
thought like being a billionaire, right? Fuck everybody. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
right. You
Now I'm
have
just
that
a
feeling.
giant. I'm a wealthy infant.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that was really well said right there. I'm a wealthy infant,
I
and I'm
should
going to tell
have
you.
guilt because that's my conscience trying to pull me out of hell.
But God, it's so funny. We could have a whole discussion about that, the wealthy infant thing. But I want to say this. Um, you know, it's back to the same thing. Yeah, you could have chosen not to get up. You could have chosen to blow it off. Then you get classified as a flake. The guy is flaky, or this person is a flaky person. They tell you things, they never show up on time, they always fall short of the mark. There are a lot of people that we've all met in our lives that do those things. And I will tell you that's what, because part of this is a good discussion. I would venture to say all of us at one point or in our lives, or many points in our lives, have been that person, not with intention, but we just, oh, you know what, I could put it off till tomorrow, or you know what, I'm just going to call them and tell them I can't make it. They'll understand. I get that. And every now and then, part of this process is, how do I improve myself over time? How do I work toward being the better version of myself? Um, and then, somebody could say, well, if you're a bad person, are you being the better version of being a bad person? I mean, I don't know. There's something to think about. But the reality of it is in the context of what Andrew has put before us, to reach enlightenment, we all understand. I think we all can look at each other and go, we know what we're talking about here. How do I be not only a better person to myself, but how do I be a better person toward others that I need to coexist with? How do I work toward that? And all these steps speak to that. I mean, I'm looking at this diagram, and grief, apathy, guilt, and shame, and actually it's shame, guilt, apathy, and grief, all seem to fall right in the category of hell. Fear is just above it. right at fear starting to creep into purgatory, right? According to this diagram.
Well,
And
oh, but never mind.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just I'm just thinking like this is the issue with the people. The danger in following something like this is it's no longer hell for myself. It's just hell for everybody else that's to take care of my ass. Because
Interesting.
I've met I maybe I've bumped into too many of the narcissists, but like basically like what ends up happening is this is where you see these online trolls. You got to get rid of the haters,
Right.
meaning you have to kill anybody that has contempt for the institution. Meaning you have to erase. It's not that the graph is wrong. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that with great, it's like more information, more responsibility. It's and it's hard to first of all, it's hard to speak. It's hard to articulate these concepts, and it's hard to visually represent them. And kudos,
Hmm.
this I love these books. I would recommend these books to everyone that's listening. They're great books, and it's a very powerful. I remember the first time I ever met Jenna, we talked about Power versus Force, actually, and it was a book that she loved. The same author, Sir Dr. Hawkins. Great books, very awesome. Um, it 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 it's just it's like playing, like anything. How does one get there? So just something
Yeah.
to think about. Like you're making something like the type of they're making me feel guilty. They
Right.
are living in guilt. Get them out of my life. No, 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 no. What if they are telling you something you have to hear and they are actually operating out of love and the person attempting to synthesize this graph is projecting their own pride. Like, so how one uses this type of technology actually, you know, I would argue most people are likely stuck in pride, ironically, attempting to navigate this type of hierarchy
That's
because they're projecting what they've yet to work through that they've just repressed and then ejaculated epistemologically into this ideology. So be careful when staring into the abyss. The longer you stare, the abyss stares back at you. Now I'm quoting Nietzsche. This is crazy.
see,
Dude,
and he's
Berman,
got his,
you gotta bring stuff like this into the fray all the time. This is epic.
but
Well,
it is because there's so many different studies and opinions. And, this guy's an MD, PhD. Okay. So here's what it boils
He's
down to.
unbelievable. He's like 20, 30 books or something.
Okay. So at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that write a lot of books and a lot of educated that are very educated. I'll give you one. Andrew bringing this up just is teeing us up for the next book. And that is Consciousness by Annika Harris. I am very eager for us to really. Why is that good? Because it's very current and relevant. She's young. She's probably, I don't know how old she is, but I'm guessing she's in her early 40s.
Yeah,
If
she's gonna
that,
love that we're mansplaining her book, by the way.
well,
Because so, in
her
closing,
husband's a pretty, her husband, Sam Harris, is a bright boy, bright man. And
true.
some people view him as being a little bit arrogant. And I get why they can think that. But if you listen and really, pay attention to what he's saying, and you can get past your own biases and proclivities and put your pride aside and just listen to what these people have to say, then you can make an evaluation. See, that's the other thing too. It's not just what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. That's the other part too. You ever been in a meeting? Let's just real quick digression. You ever been in a meeting? This happens all the time. And there's a subject being kicked, and now you may step in and say something, and there's not really a reaction, or maybe nobody's really quite catching it, or they're dismissing it, and somebody else says the
nah,
same
I don't think
thing.
so.
And you sit back and you go, what the hell just happened? I literally just said that. I just said that. And it's like they're predisposed to, if it comes from this person, it carries more weight, or maybe it's the way this person said it, or maybe, if you talk too much, nobody wants to listen to you anymore. There's
Yes,
so many
Paul. That's why
things.
I avoid places and I do a podcast and wrote a book, and here we are.
Yeah, because you could just talk and who gives a shit?
If you're listening to this episode, share this with some other lonely people out there. Make some new friends. Pick up 30 Days of Thought. Keep being great. Take your pride and shove it right where you need to. Give us a review on the Culture Matters podcast. Be easy on us. We're still sensitive, and we'll see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast. Guys, you guys rock.